in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Don't doubt me, bro. We're out here trying. We're out here trying to be better, okay, with the F word. And I think we're succeeding a little bit, but we're down to 4 tallies this week. I think if we have...
You put that sign up this week. We've done 4 episodes.
I know. We're down to an F word an episode. And look, we're trying. It's effort.
We're
all
good.
right?
Hey, you're good.
All you can ask for is effort. Welcome in. Look, hey, I've seen enough opinions. Okay, I've seen enough takes, myself included, about this Michigan stuff. I've seen and heard enough takes about the story, and I've moved on to seeking the opinions of those that matter. Okay, I think that's the best thing that we can do right now is go after and seek after the opinions from those who truly matter, not just opinion givers, but the ones who actually impact the sport, the ones who are most directly impacted by whether or not what's going on up at Michigan or what is accused of going on up at Michigan is actually indeed true, right? So who are those people? Those are football coaches. So what I did today was I reached out to nearly 24 football coaches, whether it be NFL representatives. Don't know any NFL head coaches yet. That would be cool. The one day I got one of those contacts in the phone book, that'll be dope. And you'll know, trust me, I'll be stunting that shit everywhere. The moment that happens, that'll be dope. But no, whether it be NFL representatives, Ohio State staffers to current high school head football coaches, right? Reached out to as many people as I could because I wanted to know. Okay, I wanted to know, what did they think about a program going to the length at which Michigan is being accused of going to steal signals? Now, I think it's very important we start this segment with a disclaimer. Okay, a disclaimer. What is the disclaimer? First of all, everyone in this sport, everyone tries to do some type of sign stealing. Okay, some type of signal stealing. Everyone has someone responsible for attempting to pick off signals. And sure, even if you know the play is coming, you still have to stop it. That is no doubt. There's no doubt about that. Even if you know something's coming, you have to be able to stop it. But I spoke to one source today. It's actually funny. I spoke to a source today that told me when they played Alabama one year, they knew absolutely everything. Or when Alabama was running this one specific play, they knew it because they had the signal tip during the game, and it didn't matter. Every single time they ran it, they still couldn't stop it. Now, I mean, we can laugh about that. It is true. It happens. I would say, come on now. We could do something. You know what I mean? We could do something to be a little bit better on that specific play. But nonetheless, even if you know the signs, and even if sign stealing isn't technically illegal, okay, going through these metrics that are Michigan is being accused of today or this past week is illegal, right? Here is the basis of the information that is being reported and alleged, all right? And here's what I set these coaches up with, right? Michigan hired an ex-Marine. Fact. The ex-Marine then had several other recruiting staffers attended future opponent games, okay, or attend a future opponent's games. That's alleged, and if that is true, that is illegal, all right? Potentially had them record signals of the opponents as well. Recording signals, illegal. With that data gathered, this is a fact, with that data gathered, the ex-Marine has been seen on the sideline standing next to the defensive coordinator with sheets of opponents' signals. Those are the facts that I presented dozens of coaches with today, and I think you would be relatively shocked to hear their surprises because I saw a lot of football heads out here being like, oh, sign stealing, man. Sign stealing, we all do it. Everybody does it. Isn't that just scouting? Isn't that just doing your job? Yeah. Advanced scouting and sign stealing and trying to study TV copies and find advantages, that's standard ops. That is not at all what went on if you did any of the research on this topic, okay? So we texted a bunch today, and here were some of the responses I got. From an SEC staffer today, say, quote, I'm in shock. Or excuse me, former SEC staffer, quote, I'm in shock. If they had people going to games and filming, that's insane. It's worse than recruiting violations to me. It's, quote, a crime against the game. But they'll probably just heap it all on this one guy. right? They'll scapegoat this one guy, is what one former SEC staffer said. He went on, everyone in this game has some type of dirt on them, whether it's personal, recruiting violations, exceeding the 20-hour rule, stealing signs. Leave no doubt that nobody in college football is completely clean. That was his final point, and I'm in 100% agreement with that. I think one of our most famous quotes around this network, if you've been a lifer, is the game been broke. Or the game been broke. Y'all just ain't been aware of it, right? The game's been out here being crooked, and the game's been cheating for a long time. All right, and everybody's a little bit guilty. But that quote right there, it's a crime against the game. That's a lot of the feelings that we got today when we searched out thoughts on this. A Big Ten staffer sent me this today. Quote, people here in the Big Ten knew they had a guy who was ex-military on staff that stole signs. Everyone tries to do that in a TV copy or during the game. People just didn't know that they did it in an illegal way of in-person scouting. Having an entire book of signals by the other teams, it's clear they were doing illegal stuff. All right, what was the final? Man, I'm not a very good reader, am I?
No, you're doing great, man. Keep
Doing
going.
all right. So that was a Big Ten staffer. So apparently everyone in the Big Ten kind of knew about this, and this was my other kind of fighting point that I had with some of these guys that were in my mentions today about, notice how quiet coaches are? Coaches ain't quiet, bro. They're the ones who ratted this out. There were coaches in the Big Ten, obviously, that knew about this, that were not happy about this, that snitched on this. You know what that tells me? This guy's breaking rules and going about doing this in ways that they're comfortable snitching on, knowing that they're clean. You know what I mean? Like if this were criminal activity that everybody were a part of, kind of like paying players or tampering in the portal, you know who wouldn't snitch? The coaches who are also doing this shit. So if everyone's sign stealing, then everybody would have let this pass. But this guy's obviously doing something that everybody ain't doing. This guy's doing it a little bit different. This guy's doing it a little bit creepier. This is from an Ohio State staffer that was on that staff last year and years past. Quote, we didn't suspect something was up every single play, but the 5 or 6 key plays that were the deciding factor, they had the, quote, perfect call that was against their tendencies. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there's data behind all of this. When we're in 4th and short, you tend to play this coverage. When you're in goal line, you do this. When you're in the red zone, you call this play. You have a tendency to be this type of personnel package in this type of situation, right? There is data, particularly late in the season, of how you go about calling your plays. And when they go through the film study, particularly after the game, and they're breaking down the key critical moments of this football game, and you're breaking tendency, not once, but 5, 6, 7 times in critical moments of the football game, guess whose alarms start to go off in their head? The guys who you're beating. They get really, really upset when you start to go outside of your tendencies, and that was something the Ohio State coach noticed today when I spoke to him. Quote, this was far beyond anything given to you publicly. When you're sending a Marine to study video signals or video of my signals and you have charts of them, that's beyond the notion of what's right. That was the quote I got today. This was from an ACC staffer who, by the way, Clemson's been dragged into this for years because of Venables and all this, like going down into the histories of signal stealing. Venables is like the poster boy for this. Quote, next level. It's prevalent in this game, but that was next level. Sloppy execution with all the, quote, documenting ignorance. I love that. Documenting the ignorance with personal credit cards, etc. Does it win or lose football games? No, it helps run/pass more than anything. And that was the thing that I found appalling with this. Not that people didn't read. I don't expect you to read. I expect national analysts to read. I would hope they read before they give opinions. It's kind of important. And if you would have read it from the jump, you would have noticed that this wasn't your basic sign stealing. This was an in-depth cooperation, okay, with an ex-Marine at the helm of it. This was some super serious deviant behavior to go about stealing signs. This was not somebody in the booth with binoculars looking at the on-game calls. That was not what this was. This was deviant behavior. And if you did any reading, you would have found that. But what really, really bugged me today was when people were doing they got the signals. Well, you still got to line up and play ball. And I love Deion Sanders for college football. I think it's great. But Deion Sanders was quoted today saying, well, I mean, I could send my playbook to whoever I want. I could send my entire game plan to them. They still got to stop me. That's spoken like a real defensive player. spoken like a real guy who played on the defensive side of the football. My whole daggum advantage as an offense is that you don't know what I'm doing. You know how I can debunk this entire theory? Michigan fans in my mentions talk about, oh, you still got to line up and play football. Freaking Dave Portnoy out here talking about Ohio State fans bitching when all they did was get manned. They got manned. They got handled by Michigan. Okay, well, let me ask you this. Explain play action to me. Why does play action work? Play action works because we put the ball in the belly of the back. The defense doesn't know whether it's run or whether it's pass. And then we take advantage of the fact that they don't know whether it's run or whether it's pass. Play action, one of the most successful acts in football offensively. Over time, over history. Do you know why it works? It works because the defense doesn't know whether it's run or whether it's pass. Now, let me tell you something. If it's 4th and 2, critical down in the football game, if I'm a defender and I know for a fact they're about to pass the football, don't you think I could take a little bit of an advantage off of that? I asked Jamon Dumas-Johnson today. He's the only player I've had availability to recently, and asked him, hey, man, if I told you defense, hey, defensive guy, they're about to run the ball, do you think that's an advantage? And he goes, oh, my God, it's a huge advantage. No shit. It's cheating is what it is. It's cheating, ladies and gentlemen. And I got so frustrated watching this today. So frustrated. Because you know who thinks it's cheating? The coaches, who all these people think are also cheating. Yeah, they are. They're trying to steal signals when you're playing them. They're watching you, watching your signals. And if you're not smart enough to change them up in between quarters, then yes, you are susceptible to having your shit stolen. But when some guy and some 3 recruiting staffers are buying tickets for the Ohio State-Georgia game and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl while you're busy out there in the All-State Sugar Bowl or wherever the hell you were playing TCU, getting your brains beat in, and you got somebody watching us to steal our signals ahead of maybe potentially playing us, you're a cheater. That's what you are. And I have no bones about calling you a cheater for doing that. All right? And if I can't explain that to you, if that don't make no sense to you, then I don't know what to do. Amen, boys?
Amen.
He freaking man.
Amen. Solid rant right there, bro.
Welcome into tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you. Shouts out to our friends. Oh, hold on.
Wait. Did we?
Wait. We didn't forget anything. I want to play the guy who I think encapsulated this perfectly. Okay? A guy who is the byproduct of this. Okay? Someone who has been the victim of a thief, the victim of a cheater. Okay? James Franklin summed it up best today in how he noticed what I told you the Ohio State staffer noticed. Damn, they sure really are great in situational football. Play the clip, Jay Will.
Are we disguising it? I mean, what happens is you get to after games and you feel like you called a very unpredictable call in a situation, and they're in the perfect defense for it. And you're sitting there saying, well, how is that? What would ever make you play cover 2 on 4th and 1 and we're in a heavy personnel group? But they're in it and you got a shot called there. You know, those things kind of make you kind of second guess, and you kind of go back and look at those things and what you need to do to disguise it. And if it happens once, that's one thing, but if it happens over and over, then you're aware of it. So for us, that's something that we always are looking at. But obviously, with some of the things that are going on right now, it magnifies it.
Some of the things going on right now. He also mentioned he wasn't going to talk about that other school that things are going on with, because obviously active NCAA investigation. Guys, this is far. I tried to, and I feel bad. I tweeted about this today. I feel bad for Michigan fans, because here's the deal. You know who's about to dip out? Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is going to get an NFL job. He's going to get a $50 million contract over 8 years, however much they're paying NFL coaches nowadays, and he's going to walk off, and he's going to leave your program with sanctions. And meanwhile, you look like a dumbass out here in my mentions defending a program who, by the way, I know you love, but that dude don't love you. The dude that just went through all of this to get this advantage that is going to be the reason that your program looks like what it looks like nowadays in the news that you're out here defending. Bro, he's about to leave you at the not even at the altar. He's about to leave you like Pete Carroll did with all the sanctions and just be like, not my problem. I'm going to the NFL. I feel so bad for Michigan fans.
Not even to mention that any of the success that they've had over the last 2 seasons has now been tarnished and stained because whether it's true or not, you can undermine it and say, oh, it's because you were cheating. Of course you won all those games. Of course you won the Big Ten. Of course you beat Ohio State twice for the first time in 20-some-odd years because you were cheating. Like every single good thing that's happened to Michigan's program from here on out has been undermined.
You have the stats, don't you?
Oh, I got the stats. I think I got the stats of like offensive and defensive splits and explosives allowed over the past couple years from 2015 all the way to 2022 outside of 2020. And really the biggest one is obviously points per game over the past few years. You went from 50th to 11th to 91st to 21st to 44th. And then the last 2 years, 16th and 6th. And then on defensive side of the football, you were 6th, 2nd, 13th, 16th, 20th, 8th, and 7th. And then the explosive plays pretty much remain the same, but I will say last year was your best year over the last 7 years.
So that was my theory. Like, offensively, this isn't going to help you much. Like, because I kind of know, like, what defenses are doing, I know. Like, if they're playing a too-high shell, the middle of the field's open, we call a play based off this, right? If they're in an underfront, we like this run to this, right? I know what you're doing defensively. Now, the only time it would really help me is if, like, you had some really, really well-called or well-timed blitz, and all of a sudden we're just, like, picking up blitzes perfectly. Like, that would be a tip-off for their cheating, okay, or they're stealing signs, or our signs have been stolen. Which, by the way, defensive signs, not hard, okay? Not hard to pick up. And again, we as an offense are kind of trained to dissect what you are doing because, again, there's only so many ways to disguise what you're doing as a defense. But offensively, I already explained it. If I know what you're doing, it's the whole bag. It's literally everything. I can't explain to you how much of an advantage it is. And if anybody who has ever been on the offensive line or has been required to block a defensive player, the moment the defensive player knows where the ball's going, shit's over. You lose. Like, it's over with unless you are absolutely 1,000% perfect, period, point blank. And that to me is cheating. That's what that is.
I just love all of the coping that's going on. Yeah. And like one of the biggest ones that I heard was about, they got better over the years because they started recruiting better players. It's not true at all. I mean, I went and looked at the past recruiting classes. You went from starting in 2016, you had the 8th best recruiting class, 5th best recruiting class, 22nd recruiting class, 8th, 10th, 13th, 9th, 17th. 3 of your worst 4 recruiting classes came over the last 4 years. And the ratings as well are the result the same way.
To the person that says, well, you still got to stop it. And I'll say, well, yeah, they did. They stopped it way better. They got way better at stopping it. Whatever it was, they got better at it, shockingly, because they knew it was coming. Like, it blows my mind how people are like, that's not cheating. What? This is the biggest cheating scandal we've ever had. And I don't think that's hyperbolic because this right here, this directly impacts the outcome of the football game on Saturdays, okay? If I'm out here paying Robert Nkemdiche or Laramie Tunsil or doing whatever it is Ole Miss was out here doing, cheating to get players, that's just getting them into my building. That doesn't make them play better on Saturdays. This right here, this directly impacts how we play on Saturdays, all right? And it's damn sure evident when you look at pre-2021 statistics of Jim Harbaugh and Michigan and what they look like what they look like now. What they look like now is a defense that is unstoppable. I sat there on tape, and it makes me feel goofy, and it's why I think I've been so hot on this, because I sat there and watched Michigan's defense 3 weeks ago, and I came on here and I was like, dude, they're so well coached. I think at one point I literally said it's almost like they know what's coming. It's like the defense, but they strike and shed blocks so well. I feel bamboozled. I feel led astray. I feel hoodwinked, okay? Because I went on there and watched that defense and I'm like, damn, they're so well coached.
And here's the
motherfuckers cheating.
And then also like the clip that went viral today.
Dude, another one.
Tough. The clip that went viral of Ibuka catching the touchdown pass, when obviously behind the scenes, behind the field, you can see that some type of signal relay is going on, and they're like, oh, well, Ohio State still scored a touchdown, so obviously it doesn't matter that much. First off, I highly doubt that there's a signal. It's like, we're going to throw the ball to Ibuka over the middle of the field, so this is what's coming. And then second off, that's like saying, if we take this back to the Houston Astros of like, oh, well, Jose Altuve knew that a breaking ball was coming because we told him when we stole the signs, but he didn't hit a home run off of the breaking ball, so therefore it's not cheating and it's okay. Yeah. It doesn't impact it's still cheating. It's still breaking the rules, and it's still not okay. It's ridiculous.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right.
I can't think of anything like this. I'm trying. I've heard of some backdoor cheating in years past. I've heard of some player acquisition cheating. I've definitely heard of tampering that is just irate in the sport of college football. But again, that's not cheating the game. This is cheating the game to me. And that's why I've been so hot about it and so vocal about it. I don't think there's really any place in the game of football for this. And again, the conversations that I had with coaches today, there were coaches who were legitimately hurt about this. There were coaches that were like Ryan Day. Not that he's obviously one of these coaches that I talked to, but Ryan Day's like the perception of him is directly impacted by what people think about him in this game, in this matchup between Michigan. Mm-hmm. The fact that he's lost 2 in a row. And no, it has nothing to do with what their defense has done against the run. No, it has nothing to do with that. But their offensive success, they're a check with me offense. It's directly impacted by whether or not the other team knows what they're doing. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, I definitely think differently of what's going on in Michigan based off the information that we've got. Again, it seems to be true. Like the photos, the drastic amounts of evidence. I thought the other point and the other storyline of this is all the Venmo running down that college football fans have been doing on Twitter.
Come on, bro. There's literally a private mode for this too. Like, I just not even trying to hide it. And you explicitly title it like, "Oh, Georgia," and it just makes
GA.
it. Yeah, GA. Letting everybody know what's going on.
Couldn't even put like a little peach emoji.
Yeah, or.
I think we would get some different speculations if that was what was getting put on.
That's why I was like.
How funny is it that
I'm here on Tuesday with all this ass? What you doing?
How funny is it that the one to come up with this, like, I hate to call it a mastermind plan, but something so devious came from a guy who I would say is probably one of the more innocent looking guys in college football. Like the aura.
You think Jim Harbaugh is innocent?
Innocent looking.
I don't know. He looks pretty deviant to me.
The aura of Jim Harbaugh is like he's just the classic like goober dad.
Goober dad.
But Christian, he may not have even known. Harbaugh may not have even known that it was going on.
No, you're right.
How could he have known?
Shouts out to Bussin' with the Boys, but I watched Will Compton in one tweet call for an NCAA death penalty. In the next tweet say, I was talking to Big Cat, but there's a possibility Jim Harbaugh doesn't know anything about this because he's morally just way too abstaining. He cares about the game of football way too much.
Yeah.
A football lifer would never do this. Never sanctify or put at jeopardy the sanctity of the game of football. He would never.
But like out of all the guys, if I'd have said there's a coach this year in 2023 who's going to be sending analysts over to steal signs.
There's more. I've just got it right here. So Michigan reportedly was paying for flights, hotels, meal tickets, etc. to some other guy to go film signals at games outside the Big Ten. Continue while I read this newfound report from Football Scoop that just dropped. Go ahead.
But yeah, my point is like if I'd have told you this was going to happen this year, would your first guess be, oh, it's going to be Jim Harbaugh? Who would you guess if I'd have told you that?
One more time.
If I'd have told you that coming into this season, we would have a coach who would be doing all the things that we're doing, and I didn't tell you his name, who would you guess the coach would be? Because I don't think it would be Jim Harbaugh.
Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly's a good answer. Billy Napier.
Yeah.
Billy Napier.
I'm thinking of like coaches that are kind of in a little bit of trouble, maybe
Jimbo
a little
Fisher.
bit.
Yeah, I'm thinking hot seat coach.
Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo, my God. Yes.
Jimbo's
Fisher. The easy one. All right, here's the deal. Tennessee not only told Yahoo which game Stallions purchased a ticket to, it knows the exact time and when he transferred the ticket to another person. What's more, a VolQuest post from this past January emerged from a third-hand account of a spy within Stallions network working on Michigan's staff. Oh my God, this is crazy. Source, Michigan staffer Connor Stallions bought tickets to the 2022 Oregon UW game in Eugene, visiting sideline. Ducks were ranked number 6 at the time. Man's got money to buy tickets out here for all this and only makes $55,000 a year. That's the craziest part. Again, you Michigan fans in my mentions out here going to bat for your program, man, I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm really, really sorry this happened to you. But just take it upon yourself to just shut up. Just be quiet and just go off into a dark hole because it's fitting to get ugly. Like, there's no way this didn't happen, by the way. Or not at least didn't happen. There's no way you didn't break rules.
It's not a witch hunt.
Yeah, it's not a witch hunt. This is for sure. This is for sure coming down the pike towards your program. By the way, I don't think we've welcomed into the show. Welcome everybody to tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you. We're going to play a little bit of Guess the Lines here tonight on the show. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing. We do talk national topics around here, and I'm glad to be doing so. This program had an opportunity to branch out of the Georgia network and just go out and do our own little thing and be an only national type of topic and show. We chose to stick to our roots, stay here in the Georgia space, continue to do our Georgia beat reporting, while also taking the leap of faith into the national audience and into the national sector. Anybody familiar with the Dan Le Batard show will notice this approach, okay? You don't have to give up your roots when you go national. You can go national, dip your toe in the water while sticking to your roots. So we tried to do that here while doing this. So we appreciate you guys for at least jumping in and supporting this. My question is, if all this is indeed true, which it appears to be, if there is this long-standing run of a scheme and a plot to steal signs, what's the proper punishment?
I mean, I'm sure wins will be vacated. I would think sometimes, like wins, and I don't know how many exactly, but I think wins would be vacated. I don't know if they would do a bowl ban or not, but
they
I mean,
probably would do it like a 2-year bowl ban.
So here's what I think you do. I think you punish the coaches. And here's how you do it. You vacate their wins. Okay, you don't vacate the program's wins. Okay, you vacate the coach's wins. Okay, any titles, resonant to the coach's name, you strip those. He's obviously, he would be fired without cause if we go this far, in my opinion. So the school's not apropos, unless they all knew about it. If the school knew about it, then we're talking about a whole wide vacation of wins or vacating of wins. But I just think this has such a direct impact of the outcome of the football games that this to me is so gross that it needs some type of stern attention getter, and that being a vacating of the coach's wins and a firing for cause. Guys, I think it's pretty clear he wants to leave for the NFL anyways, and that's going to be his get out of jail free card here. He's not going to serve any punishment unless you let him know you're not allowed to coach college football for at least 2 years. You got to go.
Yeah, he's probably.
You don't have to fire him. Excuse me. You don't have to fire him. You got to give him a 2-year suspension or a year suspension. He cannot coach football, okay, knowing that this is what happened. And again, you're going to tell me he didn't know about this. Also, if that is the case, then you got to be punished for some type of what do you call it? Negligence. You got to be some type of negligence punishment here as well. So yeah, I think we got to have something coming down the pipe with regards to a suspension. If at all any of this is true, which I don't know how it's not. I don't know how it's not true with all this compounding evidence.
Yeah, at this point the allegations keep growing and growing, and the evidence keeps
by the hour.
Up. Yeah,
Yes,
I feel like every
day.
hour there's a new report about how this type of thing happened. I think we are witnessing the end of the Jim Harbaugh era in Michigan. I don't think there's any way you can go around it. I don't know. One, I don't think he wants to stay in Michigan. I think he's always been trying to get back to the NFL, and I think this is going to be the final straw for it because he's going to get some sort of suspension. He's going to get some sort of punishment. I'm sure it's going to be like recruiting things for Michigan. They're going to probably have to vacate wins. They'll get a bowl suspension for a year or so, which is, it's not the death penalty. It's going to suck. You're going to take a massive step back, and the fact that you're going to lose your coach that got you here, I think, is the biggest blow to it all. But if what he's doing is absolutely true, he can't be in the sport.
So here's a little question. We got college football playoff rankings coming out next week.
Yeah.
Do we think the committee takes this into any consideration at all?
No, I honestly think they kind of steer opposite. I think the college football playoff rankings, the first couple of them, are they're for a TV show. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
So they'll be hyping up everything. I also the weird thing about NCAA sanctions is they're always post-dated, so they won't finish this investigation, I would imagine, in season. So whatever happens to Michigan's football season this year, it's under this cloud.
Right.
It just is.
But maybe even from a standpoint of, oh, you were this good because you were cheating? Maybe.
I was going to say the best story for Michigan is that they continue to win and win so dominantly. If they look bad, like if they come out against Ohio State and they can't get a stop, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to look great, man.
Yeah,
They had C.J. Stroud last year, and you look good.
Mm-hmm.
You look good against that defense, and now Kyle McCord's out here tearing you up. Like, if that's the case, that's going to be – the noise is going to get really, really loud if it's not already. But one Michigan fan told me today, you're an idiot for saying he gets to go be silent about this. It's true. He doesn't have to talk about this because it's an active NCAA investigation, so they just don't talk about it up there in East Lansing or in Ann Arbor right now, which is probably really weird.
Yeah.
But it's probably all they
Probably
talk
a
about.
lot of
in their
tension in that
meetings.
room.
Yeah, probably all they talk about in their meetings. All right, let's play our favorite game around here. It is Tuesday here on the network, which means we have Guess the Lines. I love doing this with you, Kirby. I think we're an even split over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we haven't been keeping records, have we?
No, I think we're an even split 1-1 the last 2 weeks. I think I got you the first week.
Yeah.
But we just recently changed the rules on who gets to go first.
I like
and we're
alternating.
1-1 since.
Yeah, I like
So
alternating.
this week I'm going second or I'm
Well,
going first.
I think you can go first on the first one, and then I'll go first on
All
the
right,
second one.
there we go. We are alternating this week. Jay Will, your segment. You're our intro man. What's our first game of the week?
You know, we did spooky music in the TTD hour. We need some game show music for this. Need a little intro, some game
like
music.
that idea.
Gotta find that out. Next order of business. But first one, we got some more Pac-12 action. Another really good football game. The Pac-12 has been blessing us with some good football games over the past few weeks, as we knew down the stretch it would get to be. And we got Utah against Oregon. It is at Utah, by the way.
Ooh.
So,
You got it, Brooks.
all right, Brooks starts.
All right, so Oregon's far better football team on paper. Utah, one of them Pac-12 teams that's really, really tough to beat at home. I think their home record's probably one of the best in college football. Don't know why. It doesn't look like a huge stadium. I think it's one of them trap the sound stadiums out there at Utah. This strikes me as an Oregon by 7 football game. I think that's how it's going to play out. But I don't think Vegas is going to favor them that heavily. I'm going to say Oregon favored by 3.5 in this football game.
I like Oregon by more than that. I think despite the fact that you did just beat USC, which was a top 15 team at the time, I think Oregon is a legit team. I think Vegas sees them that way.
Just to continue on, Vegas never really heavily or like is in favor of teams who win ugly. And Utah is capped and win ugly.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are capped and win ugly.
I think you Oregon by a touchdown is the right line. So I'll go -7 Oregon.
I should have stuck on my guts, what you're saying.
Yeah, you definitely should have because it's Oregon -6.5.
Oregon -6.5. That's a good peg. It's a good peg by Vegas right there. I think that's a really, really good line.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it a little bit last night, but isn't it interesting to watch Utah, how they're winning football games despite quarterback play?
Yeah, it
And
is
like
weird.
beating good football teams and scoring 30 points to do so, 35 points to do so. Like, that's nuts, man. Shouts out.
Yeah, it's a very weird dynamic as to how they do it, but hell, if it's working.
It's one of those things where they just recruit good football players. Like if you go through the bios of all of their like key players, like a Cole Bishop, for example, right? And I know Cole because I called some of his games when he was at Stars Mill here in the state of Georgia. Cole was a football player who played in a triple option offense, was a guy that they just brought on the field on offense to kind of make plays. Defensively, play a little bit of linebacker, play a little bit of safety, but just was an all-around, like, really, really good football player. And that's what he does at Utah. He just plays good football. Their quarterback, kind of an all-around, kind of cutthroat football guy, right? They got players that, you know, came into the program as a corner where it's like, hey, man, you played running back one day in high school. We kind of need a running back today. You want to come try it out? And they're like, yeah, coach, I'll come give it a shot. And then next thing you know, they're a running back for the football team.
Just some football loving dudes.
Just some football-loving dudes, and that's what they prioritize on the recruiting trail. And I think everybody tries to do this. Everybody says they just want football. They just want a good football-loving dude on their team. Like that's what we want to like even Kirby Smart, even at the highest levels. When we talked about it at SEC Media Days, what did he say? The number one rule we look for: do you love football? Right. And number 2, are you selfless? Right. Do you love football and are you selfless? Everyone tries to establish it. Utah's managed to do it in the Pac-12 in a conference that doesn't historically predicate themselves off of physicality and just being a well-coached, well-rounded football program. They win ball games doing it. So just a soliloquy on Utah right there. They don't deserve, or they don't rightfully, they don't strike me as a football program that deserves all the hype and the love and the points in games like this. But they continue year in and year out to find ways to win ball games. All right, what's our next one?
Now, if you would have said that this was a ranked matchup before the season started, I don't know that a soul would have believed you except me. Except me. I would have told you that I believe this is a ranked matchup. This is one that actually could end up deciding who ends up playing in the ACC championship game, surprisingly. We got Duke at Louisville.
Them Dukies.
Okay, so
Riley Leonard going to play?
that's my first question. Is Riley
I
Leonard
don't
gonna play?
know. I will get on that right now.
I'm going to
Let's
assume.
go 2 separate lines.
Yeah, I'm going to assume just from what I saw at the end of that Florida State game, and the fact that it's Monday this week, Vegas is going to go and say assume he's not going to play. Now, obviously, if news develops, Thursday comes in and say, hey, he's a game time decision, that line might change. But right now, I'm going to say probably not is what Vegas is doing. With that, I think they lean Louisville. Louisville's going to be at home. Probably that's worth a point and a half maybe. I would go Louisville somewhere in between 3 and 4. So I do 3.5.
2.5 is my number. I think it's a really, really tight football game. I think these teams are relatively mid. Not relatively mid. That's a wrong term. These are 9-win football teams in the ACC.
Yeah, and they're beat up too.
So
And they're beat up.
just to lay the land, they're doing the typical thing of they're uncertain if he will play.
Vegas is
Okay.
gonna assume at that point until otherwise.
Dude, I think this is a coin flip football game.
I agree.
UL favored by 2.5 is my guess.
Christian gets it again. It's Louisville -4.
Yeah, I didn't want to cheat. I was going to play the upside, like just take the high side of
Oh,
you.
you would undercut.
But no, I wanted to be true. I wrote down 2.5. I think it's a field goal football game. I would take I would take Duke if that is the case. They're favored by a full 4 points, I think it's a 3-point football game. So we'll give Kirby the win there. What's our next football game?
You got 2 head coaches that are kind of fighting for their lives at this point. A loss for either of these coaches would be very detrimental for different reasons.
Hold on. I wouldn't classify anything Jimbo's doing right now as fighting. Fighting requires effort. All right, I wouldn't classify what Jimbo's doing right now at Texas A&M as fighting for his life.
Spoiled my build-up.
He was like he's fighting for his buyout. What's up?
You spoiled my build-up.
My bad. Keep building, bro. Keep building.
South Carolina at Texas A&M.
Let that boy cook. Did I really mess you up?
No, you
guy.
just said Jimbo,
My
so
bad,
you're fine.
man.
It's good.
Poor guy.
No, it is South Carolina, Texas A&M, and I do think Shane Beamer's fighting for his life.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Jimbo's that person that like hands the pillow to the person and is like, please.
But at the same time, if Jimbo loses to Shane Beamer, then it's like, oof, that's horrible. That's so bad. You lose to this South Carolina team?
Yeah, I think
At home?
the mantra coming into this game is from both sides. Oh, if you lose to this team, it's not a good look. So
Yeah.
All right. You started last
I
time?
started, so you got it this time.
A&M favored by 6.
Really?
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah, South Carolina's a bad football team. They're at home.
That's what I'm saying. That's it.
Oh. 12.5.
He went from 6 to 12.5.
I don't know. This is why you're the gambler.
Yeah.
I'm just the guy that gives the takes.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you're in Kyle Field, the fact that Shane Beamer's kind of I don't want
Midnight Yell?
Oh God, we're gonna get to see some viral Midnight Yell clips.
Hey, yeah,
It's awful.
Aggies, yeah. My dad's embarrassed. My mom's sad too. How about the Aggies? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would go A&M. Would you say 12?
12.5.
I wanted to do 13. I'll bump it up and go A&M -14. I think Vegas leans heavy A&M in this.
On the dot. Texas A&M by 14.
Kirby with the clean sweep today, it sounds like. Tennessee at Kentucky.
Tennessee at Kentucky.
You didn't even let him.
2 checkerboard-loving teams, that's for sure.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
facts.
that is true.
When did Kentucky adopt the checkerboard? Because I feel like they kind of recent. Like Tennessee's always had the
When
checkerboard.
they decided to be kind of a good football team.
I always remembered it on their basketball uniforms.
Yes.
Because that's the only time I watch Kentucky sports. Unless I'm made to. That's a goddamn lie. I ain't watched no college hoops in a minute. When was the
Yeah.
last time you watched a college hoops game?
Last March.
All the time.
All the time.
Last
do.
March.
Yeah, we'll see about that this fall. We'll see about that here in a couple of weeks.
Really?
When NCAA hoops kicks up and you're still doing workload.
Actually,
and
no. Wait a
pumping
minute.
out
I went to
content.
like all the basketball games last year. Never mind.
Stop the cap.
Wait, you're saying that you don't think I actually watch college
I
basketball
would
like
prefer
that?
you not to be watching college basketball. I would prefer you to be maximizing your output and being obsessed.
I
Yeah.
can have something on the TV while doing some
So,
articles.
So you don't want me going to the games this year?
We'll figure it out.
I don't know how that's going to work.
We'll figure it out.
We'll see.
Anyways, you have the floor, my sir.
Tennessee at Kentucky.
Tennessee at Kentucky. Tennessee, I think, is going to be coming off of it. They are coming off of a tough loss. I don't really know what Kentucky is. Kentucky's kind of the put you in the box team, and if we can't
Classic Kentucky.
if we can't do that, I mean, it's like uh-oh. So, give me Tennessee minus 2.5. I think it's kind of an even split, but home field advantage. So,
You've known this guy for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky's a lot like Kirby. Never know what you're gonna get.
Oh, so true.
And you can't get a read on the guy.
No.
Can't get a read on the guy. Very unpredictable. Okay.
Yeah.
But kind of steadily unpredictable,
Yeah.
which is what Kentucky steadily is. Shouts out to Marky Stoops. What'd you say?
I said 2.5.
Kentucky favored?
No, Tennessee.
Tennessee favored. 2.5. It's a game about running the football. Both teams like to run the ball. Okay. Tennessee better defensively than Kentucky over the last several weeks. Okay. Kentucky got handled by Missouri last time they were at home. Tennessee favored by 3.
So you said 2.5?
2.5, yeah.
You're on the board, brother.
Let's
Hey,
go.
there you go.
Tennessee minus 3.5.
It's already a loss because he took the first
Hey, that's
3.
okay.
But we can fight
That's
and make
okay.
it admirable.
Build
in
up
this
some
last
momentum for
Yeah,
next
man.
week.
Make
one.
it
In
a
this
good game.
last one.
And we'll
Build up
bounce
that
back.
Uncle Mo.
That's right.
Shouts out to Friday Night's Mike, by the way. If you haven't watched that, you should. Go ahead.
All right, this last one. I don't even know what to think of this football game. These are two of the most unpredictable football teams, in my opinion, right now in college football because it could be really good and then it could be really bad. Colorado at UCLA.
You know it's going to be entertaining. I'm going first here.
Yes, sir.
I know who UCLA is. UCLA is a defensive-led football team who's trying to protect a young quarterback. Okay, I know who Colorado is. Colorado is a team that has to win football games 42-40. Okay, that's who they are. Now the question is, can they do anything against this UCLA defense? I think Tua Tagovailoa, okay, the edge rusher. I know I botched that. He's number 15. Okay, he was at Washington, had to transfer down to UCLA.
Tumaloa or something?
That one right there. You butchered it too. Him. Okay, he is him, and he gonna have 5 or 6 sacks this weekend.
Yeah.
When you are this good defensively, you are favored heavily in Vegas. Vegas been favoring or really, really tending towards a 14.5 point line lately. I'm gonna guess that.
14.5?
Yeah, UCLA favored 14.5.
I want to go higher just because I think that defense is going to manhandle
So
Colorado.
good.
But
They are gonna. I mean, Shador needs to wear all of the extra padding this weekend.
I just don't know if I can believe in UCLA's offense to really put that many points up. I would go like, you said 14?
Yeah, I think it's a lot.
Give me 10.
10. Well, you should have trusted your gut because it's UCLA minus 17.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points. That is
It is a lot of points.
Speaking of points, it is the month of style points, I believe, with college football playoff rankings coming out for the first time a week from today. All right, it is a month where some football teams need some style points. Hey, Curb?
AA.
AA.
I like it.
Yeah, who are some of these teams you think that need some style points?
Oh, you want me to start off?
I do. That's
So
why
obviously
I
the
came
first one, and I hate to do this, but it's Georgia.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had the number 1 spot. People are kind of questioning it. You've had a couple of games. You don't have Brock Bowers. If you go in and beat the hell out of a Florida team that isn't necessarily good but is respectable, that can really cement your spot as number 1. Another one I've got is Florida State. Had a shaky win against Duke. You've kind of creeped up or flirted with losing a couple of games of the season. You can really make a good jump or cement your spot if you beat whoever they're playing. I don't remember who it is. It's Wake Forest, I believe.
Okay.
So if you beat a pretty decent Wake Forest team, that's really important.
I got one for you.
Go ahead.
Penn State.
Oh, that was next on my list.
Penn State, you got 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to figure out some daggum offense before you play Michigan, right? You got an Indiana football team coming to your place, and you got Maryland, okay? So you got 2 weeks to get right, okay, and play with some confidence and win with some daggum style points. You don't necessarily need to win with style points. You actually need other people to lose, okay? But you need to put up points in general and get some confidence going.
I've got 2 more teams. Do you have any?
Yeah, I got one right now. I think FSU needs to have a style win against Wake Forest. A lesser opponent. Look, we'll give you a bye or we'll give you a slide for Duke. That's a ranked opponent, good football team. But Wake Forest, a team that's down this year, FSU needs one of these wins where you just went out there, you put up 50 or so points, and it was never in question, and FSU looked like a college football playoff team.
Steve Martin. Go ahead.
Steve Martin?
It's an inside joke of a show that y'all don't watch. It's an inside joke on this show of another inside joke. Steve Martin was a prop comic. Go ahead.
Okay. So these are the next two teams I have are kind of the get back in good graces. Ole Miss. They're still a one-loss team. They've only lost to Alabama, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, you can still make the playoff. You can still win the West.
Yeah.
I think that starts by winning a lot of your games with impressive margins. Obviously, you have a big challenge coming up when you travel to Georgia, but you can really start climbing up the playoff rankings if you start winning well and winning now.
We've talked. Go ahead.
Next one is UNC.
Okay.
Bad
Yeah,
loss
big time.
last week. I mean, you're technically not out of it yet. You have one loss. You're still somewhat in the hunt for the ACC, but you got to start really beating the hell out of teams.
Absolutely. We've talked about them a lot this show, but I think the rest of the season, Michigan needs to play better football than they've ever played.
Yep.
Not for anybody's sanctity other than Jim Harbaugh's.
Yeah.
And the sanctity of their program, honestly. Not that it's going to make a NCAA investigation or ruling any less, but your public persona will definitely be taking a major hit if you don't come out and put some smack down on some folks like you've been doing.
Yeah, because like I said, if you come out and you lay an egg now, everything you did prior to this is pretty much null and void because it ties back to, oh, you did this well because you were cheating.
I mean, I somebody asked me today, like, do you think this tarnishes everything they've done? Yes. So 100% tarnishes every close game you've won, to me. Because the game of football, when it's won in the margins, when the game is tight, it is a game of winning the biggest moments, right? It's a game of being right in those moments. And when you're cheating to be right in those moments, you have cheated those moments, okay? And you've cheated the outcome of the game. And that is a major issue. And if they come out and lay eggs moving forward, everyone should laugh at them. They deserve everything coming their way. I mean, I think they're very clear to me. And there's no high horse on this, okay? I know we've talked about it a lot. There's no high horse on this. The only people who are acting all uppity right now are Michigan fans. I think everybody else is just pissed off that you cheated the game of football like this because you did, okay? What else? What else we got?
I'll give a different angle for this one. I think Texas this week against BYU has to have some type of style.
Quarterback getting his first start, Malik
Backup
Murphy.
quarterback, want to know moving forward that you can trust him to buy you time until Quinn Ewers gets back. So maybe not style points in the sense of like, oh my gosh, you just absolutely dismantled him, but style points in the sense of like, oh, we can trust Murphy to go out there and play good football with us, at least good enough football over this stretch of opponents to where we can win out and still be in a position to make the playoff.
Absolutely. Do you want to give a Heisman contention update before we bounce for tonight?
Yeah, so as funny as it is, after everything that we talked about, there's another new odds-on favorite to win the Heisman. Who do you think it is?
It was J.J. McCarthy.
It is J.J. McCarthy. Last week it was Michael Penix. Now it's J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy's at plus 180 right now. Michael Penix is in second with 275.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels at 600. Jordan Travis at 800. Dylan Gabriel at 800. Then there's a massive drop-off. Next highest is Marvin Harrison at plus 2,000. Then after that, you have Bo Nix at plus 25. Carson Beck at plus 2,800. And then it's just pretty much just names at that point. You've got Quinn Ewers, Travis Hunter, guys who are probably not going to win it.
Just names.
Brock Bowers is in there at plus 8,000 if you still want to take that. So
Cheaters, all of you.
Basically, it means if you put 10 on Brock Bowers winning the Heisman, you will lose $10.
Huh. That's not bad.
Pretty good deal.
Trying to think Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison's
Great value right there.
Harvin Marison's the bet there.
Marvin Harrison or Bo Nix, I think, are good money picks. And I know you don't like Bo Nix, but
I wasn't even gonna do it. I was just gonna let you make your comment about Bo Nix. I wasn't even gonna say nothing.
he's the best, dude. He's a goat.
Mm-hmm. He's just goated.
His eyes twitching.
A 28-year-old goated.
Oh, you can't play. Don't play the age card.
That's a lamb. Who baz? Goats baz?
Sheep.
Sheep's baz.
Sheep's bad.
What does
Goats
a
like
goat sound
scream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's been our show. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Michigan, you cheaters.